إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على دين كله ولو كره الكافرون. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. وبعد. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we thank the Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal for having given us life and having chosen us to be the ones who are guided on the right path. We ask Him to keep on extending to us mercy from within Himself and to save us from misguidance and to save us from the punishment of the grave and that of the hellfire. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this life is a fleeting moment in our history, in our existence. And we need to understand that. And we need to realize that when we die, we go back to Allah Azza wa Jal. And we need to realize too that we are going to die. Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us in the Quran, He says, Inna nahnu nuhyil mawta wa naktubu ma qaddamu wa atharahum. Indeed, we give life to the dead. Indeed, Inna nahnu nuhyil mawta. We give life to the dead. And we are witnessing Allah Azza wa Jal when He gives life to the dead. Not that we see dead people coming alive, but an example of it, as He tells us in the Quran, وَتَرَى الْأَرْضَ هَامِدًا. You see the earth dry and parched, nothing is growing on it. فَإِذَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْهَا الْمَهْتَزَّتْ وَرَبَّتْ وَأَنبَتَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ زَوْجٍ بَهِيجٍ. And when we send the rain onto it, the water from the sky, it shakes and swells and it produces all sorts of different fruits and plants. And this is how Allah Azza wa Jal gives us an example how we can give life to the dead. Inna nahnu nuhyil mawta. So on the day of judgment, after we would all have died, Allah Azza wa Jal is going to resurrect us. And He tells us, وَنَكْتُبُ مَا قَدَّمُوا وَآثَارَهُمْ. And we have documented all that they have sent forth, مَا قَدَّمُوا. So everything that we have done, Allah Azza wa Jal is having it documented by the angels. وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Indeed, they are hafidhin, the ones who protect, the angels, they are on you. Kiraman means they are honorable. Katibin, they are writing. Ya'lamuna ma taf'alun. Every single thing that you do, these angels know of it and they document it. So there's nothing that can escape Allah Azza wa Jal on the day of judgment. And nothing escapes Him now. وَنَكْتُبُ مَا قَدَّمُوا. So He's telling us we have documented what you have sent forth. What they have sent forth, وَآثَارَهُمْ, and what they have left behind. You see, what have we left behind? There's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He says, مَنْ سَنَّ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ سُنَّةً حَسَنًا كَانَ لَهُ أَجْرُهَا وَأَجْرُ مَنْ عَمِلَ بِهَا مِنْ بَعْدِهِ غَيْرَ أَنْ يَنْقُصَ مِنْ أُجُورِهِمْ شَيْئًا. غَيْرَ أَنْ يَنْقُصَ مِنْ أُجُورِهِمْ شَيْءٍ. That whosoever does a good act in Islam, he has the reward of that good act. And all those who follow him as well in doing that good act, and nobody's reward will be cut short. So if it is that somebody does something that is good, and the people follow him in doing that which is good, he's going to get reward for that. And he's going to get the reward of the other people as well. And they will get their own reward too. So his reward will be keep on increasing as people continue doing that act. And you must not confuse something that is bid'ah or an innovation as being something good. Because people will say, well, I am praying, but it might be a bid'ah they're doing. And how can that be so? For instance, there are 2 rakat that is compulsory to pray for Fajr. Somebody might say, well, if I pray more, it's better for me. So I'm going to pray 8 rakats for Fajr instead of 2. That is bid'ah. That is not allowed. We must understand that. There's a heresy. You are adding something to the religion that is not there. So it may look as though it's something that is good, but in reality it's not good. You have to adhere to the Sharia of Islam. So if you want to do something that is good, it has to be within the bounds of Islam. So within that bound, you do something and people follow you in doing it, you are going to get that reward, and you're going to get the reward of the people behind you, following you. And the opposite is true. You do something that is evil and something that is haram and wrong, and the people follow you in it, that person is going to get his sin and the sin of all those people who follow it, and they will get their own sin as well. This is why Cain, anytime there is a murder in the world, Cain is getting sin for that, if you want to use that term. And the murderer himself is getting his own sins. So this is so very important, that we leave a legacy of goodness on the earth. We want for ourselves to be on the right path. We want our wives and our husbands and our children to be on the right path. And we have to be really taking care of our children in a manner that is becoming of us as Muslims. Because we cannot look at all the other aspects of our children's life and neglect the most important aspect that deals with the hereafter, the Islamic growth and the Islamic nourishment. And if it is we love our people and we want to be with them in the hereafter, then we are going to do what is right to be reunited with them in the gardens of paradise. So we have to understand that we cannot go through life pursuing worldly matters and leaving out Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas suttaku rabbakum. O mankind, fear your Lord. O mankind, fear your Lord. Wakhshaw yawman la yajzi walidun an waladihi wala mawludun huwa jazin an walidihi shay'a. And fear a day in which a father or a parent will not be able to help his son or his child, nor will a child be able to help his father or his parent in anything. Fear that day. The only time we can help each other is here on the earth. And if someone whom we love has died, our parents or so have died, we can make dua and ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive that person. We can do things on behalf of that person, give charity and all these things. Nothing is wrong with that. But the moment we ourselves die, that's it. So Allah Azza wa Jal is telling us about fearing that last day, the day of resurrection, when nobody will be able to benefit anybody in anything. Inna wa'adallahi haqq. Indeed, the promise of Allah is a reality. وَلَا يُخْلِفُ اللَّهُ وَعَدَهُ وَلَا يُخْلِفَ اللَّهُ وَعَدَهُ. Allah will never renege on His promise, on His word. He fulfills everything that He promises. فَلَا تَغُرَنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Do not let the worldly life bewilder you and make you astonish and bedazzle you. Do not let the worldly life beguile you and trick you and deceive you. وَلَا يَغُرَنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ. And do not let the great deceptor shaitan deceive you as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, once he was with his companions and he took a stick and he drew one line. Then at the side of this line he drew other lines. And he told them that this one line he drew in the middle, that's the right way. As-siratul mustaqim, the right way. And all the sides, all the lines that he drew at the sides, he says all these are misguidance. At the head, these are ways of misguidance. At the head of each way is a devil inviting towards it. So you may wonder, well, if it's a devil, it's going to look bad. But that's not so. You see, the worldly life is yet to glitter and to look glamorous. And only those things that are halal for us in the world, the glamour of the world that is halal for us, we can take. But there are a lot of things that are haram for us that look nice. Women, for example, or alcohol consumption or gambling, sometimes they look nice because you see everybody having fun when they drink and when they are gambling and when they are betting and when they are having their parties and all these things and the carnival mentality and all that. You see people having fun and you say, oh, they are having fun and I'm not having fun. It's a glitter and a glamour, but for something that is haram. And this is why he's saying, فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Do not let the worldly life bedazzle you and deceive you. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمُ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ. And do not let the great deceiver deceive you from Allah Azza wa Jal. And in context of this as well, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith, Ta'isa abdul dinar, wal dirham, wal qatifa, wal khamisa. The slave of gold and silver, woe be unto him, perish be he. Perish be the slave of gold and silver and fine cloth. And clothing, khamisa, I mean a clothing like a shirt. Perish be he. We become slave of our desires. We become slave of what we want, if what we want is beyond the borders of Islam, or it can be something that is halal. But we become slave of what we want, of the worldly life, even the halal of it. So we are Muslims, so we only look at what is halal, but we pursue that halal thing and we become slaves of that, not worshipping it. If you worship it, then we are committing shirk. But we are enslaved by the worldly life. It enslaves us because we want it. The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لو أن لابن آدم واديا من ذهب أحب أن يكون له واديين. That if the son of Adam, if any person had a whole valley of gold, and if you were to take the smallest valley and fill it with gold, you'll perhaps be one of the richest men in the world, in any case. So if the son of Adam had a whole valley of gold, أَحَبَّ أَنْ يَكُونَ لَهُ وَادِيَيْنِ. He would wish that there were two valleys that he had instead of one. So he pursues it and he goes and he gets more wealth and he becomes a slave of the wealth and he forgets about his duty to Allah Azza wa Jal. So the hadith continues, in u'tiya radiya. If he is given wealth, he is pleased. Wa in lam yu'ta lam yarda. And if he is not given wealth, he is displeased. So this hadith is telling us that do not become slaves of the world, even the halal part of it, but be slaves of Allah Azza wa Jal. If we have and allow all the material things around us to come down on us, we allow it to happen, we are going to be slaves of it. Nothing wrong if a person is rich. Nothing wrong if a person has a booming business and makes a lot of money. But when he does that and he forgets Allah Azza wa Jal, he has become a slave of his business. So we need, therefore, to remind ourselves about remembering Allah Azza wa Jal every single moment, so that we will not forget His mercies upon us and His favors, and He can give and He take. قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ تُؤْتِ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتَنْزِعُ الْمُلْكَ مِمَّنْ تَشَاءُ. Say, O Allah, Malik al-Mulk, the owner of everything, the king of all dominion. تُؤْتِ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ. You give that to whomsoever you wish. وَتَنْزِعُ الْمُلْكَ مِمَّنْ تَشَاءُ, and remove it from whomsoever you wish. And that is the essence of Allah Azza wa Jal, the master of everything. And we must be his slave and not be the slave of creation. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, may Allah Azza wa Jal bless us all and keep us on the path of Islam. And may he continuously make us his slaves and do not make us slaves of the world and slave of creation. Ameen. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa lisa'iril muslimina min kulli dhanb fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim.